Photorealistic imaging. In Photoview 360, select Open File and select the file. I have selected an assembly here. While this is loading, I will talk to you a little bit about Photoview 360 and how it is made up. Across the top toolbar you can see Open File, Appearance, Environments, Settings and Final Render. These are 5 simple steps to producing a final render. Now that our assembly has loaded into our display pane, we can see at the top we have some options: Pan, Rotate, Zoom, Zoom Window and Fit to View. The Pan option allows us to move our object to the left, to the right and up and down or in diagonal direction. The Rotate option allows us to rotate our object. This can be done by clicking and dragging. The Zoom option, or shortcut Z, allows us to zoom in on our object. Again, click and drag to zoom. Zoom to window allows us to create a window and zoom to it. This is useful for highlighting areas of a part. And finally, the Zoom to Fit, or shortcut F. This will zoom the object to fit our screen. Now we can move on to the Appearance button. In the Appearance window you can see a selection of materials. Across the top we have a zoom bar. Click and drag this to zoom in and out of our folders, and expand material to look at a list of materials. So we can select a material now. I'm going to select Organic for the handle of the square, and Wood. Now we can see a choice of woods, and in this list I'm going to select Pine for the handle of our square. So open up the folder Pine by double clicking, and we can see a list of different finishes. So select the desired finish, and to apply it, click and drag and place it on the object. At this point I'm going to point out the display bar at the top which says Face, Body, Part and Assembly. If we select Assembly and click and drag our appearance to it, it's going to apply that appearance to the full assembly and not just a single part. Similar, if we select Body and click and drag our appearance to a body, it's going to select that body and face and part. Now I'm going to apply a material to the blade and to the stock protector. So I'm going to go into Metals and select Steel. So in the Steel menu we are giving a number of different finishes. So I'm going to select a matte finish, and remember, select Part, and then click and drag the matte finish to the part you want to add this material to, and allow the screen to load. Now you can see it has applied a matte steel finish to the stock protector. Similarly, we will apply the same material to the blade, and allow it to load. Now we have applied all of our materials to each part of the assembly. Also in the Appearances window we can see an Advanced tab. This allows us to adjust the colour of the material. So next we will go on to Environments. In this window we can look at a number of different environments to apply to our scene. Again, the zoom bar is at the top for zooming in or out on the environments. Also enlarge by clicking and dragging the bottom corner of the window. So we can look along here and pick an environment to apply to our scene. In this one I will apply the kitchen. So to apply, either double click or click and drag to the background. This may sometimes be slow loading up depending on the PC. So now you can see we have our kitchen background. We can again use our orientation options, so we can pan our object, rotate, which will rotate the entire screen, the environment included. So again, this is done by clicking and dragging once you've selected rotate, pan or zoom. So rotate the object to any position you like in your environment and allow time for it to load. Now that we have selected an area for our object, we can move on to the next step, which is settings. So if we select our settings button and allow it to load, we can see a number of settings. The first being ground height. We can adjust the ground height. This will raise or lower our object above or below the ground height. This will also have an effect on the shadow cast by the object. Environment rotation. We can rotate the environment. And also up axis, X, Y and Z up. So if we select X up, it's going to rotate our object so that the X axis is pointing in an upwards direction. Similarly, if we select Z up, our object will rotate so that the Z axis of our part will point in an upwards direction. For the purpose of this part, we're going to put the X axis pointing in an upward direction. So we can select X up. So here we can see our object after it is rotated with the X axis pointing upwards. Again, we have the option to flip axis, we have background options, and we have visibility. Use shadow floor, so we can show the floor and show the environment. By deselecting show environment, it disregards the environment we have selected earlier. In output settings, if we look at render, we have preview quality and final render quality. Here we can select from a number of options. The higher the quality, the slower the part will be to load on your screen. Once you're happy with the orientation of your assembly, we're now ready to move on to final render. So by selecting final render, this will generate a rendering of our assembly. The speed of this render will depend on the render quality that was selected in the previous step. So now that our rendering is complete, we can save our image and select the file in which you want to save it and the file name. I'm going to name this rendering1. You can change the file type by selecting the save type as arrow and changing that to maybe a standard JPEG image.